Something's happening in Chicago that nobody saw coming. While the city braces for the coldest winter of the year, there's a heat wave melting away a decade's worth of disappointment. An offensive coordinator just pulled off what felt impossible, turning the Bears into the most dangerous team in the division. But that's not all. A veteran running back just proved that when the game's on the line, some players don't shrink. They rise. And if that wasn't enough, a cornerback just shared the most heartbreaking and powerful story of the season. One that'll break your heart, but also help you understand why this team is different. 3 stories shaking Soldier Field right now. Stick around till the end, because what's coming next will change how you see these Bears. Smash that like button if you believe our time has finally come. And hit subscribe because tomorrow we've got more bombs coming. This is Navy and Orange, baby, and Chicago ain't playing. Let me tell you something I've been waiting years to say. The Chicago Bears are trolling their division rivals. Yeah, you heard that right, trolling. After years of being the laughingstock of the NFC North, after taking all the jokes from the Packers, the Vikings, and even the damn Lions, we're finally the ones doing the talking. And let me ask you this, when was the last time you saw the Bears confident enough to clown someone after a win? I'll tell you this, Ben Johnson has completely flipped the mindset of this organization. We're talking about a team that's 7-3, sitting at the top of the division, and just ripped the heart out of the Vikings in their own house. US Bank Stadium, that place that's haunted us for years, finally witnessed Chicago getting its pride back. And the best part, how they celebrated, the Bears social media team. Those geniuses who finally get that this city needs swagger, posted something that's got the whole NFL talking. After that dramatic 19-17 win, they tweeted, "Game blouses." For those who don't get the reference, it's from Chappelle's Show, that legendary sketch where Charlie Murphy tells the story of playing basketball against Prince in Minneapolis. Shirts versus blouses. And the Bears, with all the boldness in the world, used that reference to troll the Vikings in their own city, Prince's city. Do you understand the level of confidence that takes? This goes way beyond a social media post. This is a statement. This is Chicago telling the rest of the division, we're not the same team anymore. You're not walking over us. Now we're the ones talking, and it's all thanks to Ben Johnson. Look, I know some of you still have doubts about him. I know people are saying it's just his first season. Let's wait, but let me hit you with a stat that'll blow your mind. The Bears have 5 wins this season after trailing in the final 2 minutes. 5. You know how many teams have done that since 1970? They're tied for the all-time record. This ain't luck, folks. This is culture. This is a winning mindset. This is what happens when you've got a coach who truly believes in his system and passes that belief onto the players. After years of watching this team collapse in the 4th quarter, after all those seasons where we knew if we were down late, it was over, we finally have a team that believes it can win any game. And you know what's wild? It's only November. There are still huge weeks ahead. The Packers, those damn Packers who've owned us for years, are looking in the rearview mirror and seeing Chicago closing in. Aaron Rodgers, that guy who's tortured us for a decade, is now in Pittsburgh wondering what the hell happened to the Bears. Let me ask you, when was the last time you felt this kind of excitement in mid-November? When was the last time you truly believed this team could go far? I think we gotta go back to 2018, when we went 12-4 with Trubisky and thought we'd finally found the answer. But this feels different. This feels real, because it's not just that we're winning. It's how we're winning. It's the resilience. It's the attitude. It's that mindset of we don't care if we're down. We're gonna find a way to win. And that, my friends, that's what separates good teams from great ones. Next Sunday, we've got the Steelers coming to Soldier Field. Aaron Rodgers is coming to our house. And I'm telling you right now, that stadium is gonna be on fire. Because this city that suffered so much, that's seen so many letdowns, finally has something to believe in. We finally have a team that doesn't just win, but wins with style, with swagger, with Chicago pride. Game blouses. 2 words that perfectly sum up what's happening here. The Bears aren't just winning games. They're reclaiming their identity. They're reminding the NFL why this franchise is legendary. They're proving that the monsters of the Midway never left. They were just sleeping. And if you thought that was something, wait till you see how that game against Minnesota was actually won. If that blew your mind, wait till you hear this. Because while everyone's talking about the trolling on social media, while everyone's hyped about that dramatic win, there's something that happened in that game that no one is talking about. Something that made the difference between winning and losing. Something that shows exactly what kind of coach Ben Johnson is and what kind of players we've got on this roster. Let's talk about D'Andre Swift. Yeah, the same D'Andre Swift that a lot of you have been dragging all season. The same back some folks said was too soft, not explosive, a mistake from Detroit. That same D'Andre Swift just made the most important play of the game against Minnesota. And let me ask you, how many of you who doubted him are ready to admit you were wrong? I'll say it straight, without D'Andre Swift, the Bears lose that game, period. No debate. Let me set the scene. It's the final drive. Cairo Santos just missed a 45-yard field goal. The Vikings have momentum. The stadium is going nuts. And the Bears have the ball at Minnesota's 40 after a monster 56-yard return by Devin DuVernay. 3rd and 8. Game on the line, and what does Ben Johnson do? He gives the ball to D'Andre Swift. Some of you are thinking, what? On 3rd and 8? Are you crazy? And I think that's exactly the difference between a winning coach and a losing one. Because Johnson wasn't just thinking about yards. He was thinking 3 moves ahead. He was thinking about Minnesota's timeouts. He was thinking about not giving Sam Darnold another shot. He was thinking like a chess master. Swift picked up 7 yards on that run. 7 yards that turned a 56-yard field goal into a 48-yarder. 7 yards that might not sound like much, but were the difference between a prayer and a real shot. 7 yards that saved the season, but here's the real kicker. It wasn't just the run. It was how it was executed. Look, I know a lot of you don't focus on the technical stuff. I know most people just see the final result. But let me break down what happened on that play, because this is real football. This is what separates good teams from great ones. It was a basic power run. Drew Dalman and Joe Thuney double-teamed the left interior tackle. Jonah Jackson and Darnell Wright did the same on the right side. Durham Smythe led through the hole as a fullback. Everything was set up for Swift to go right. But here's the problem. Dalman tripped before he could get to the second level. That left a linebacker completely unblocked. The play should have been dead. Loss of yards. 4th and long. 56-yard field goal. Probably lose the game, but you know what happened. Darnell Wright saw Dalman's mistake and in a split second made the right call. He left his original block and picked up the linebacker Dalman missed. That gave Swift just enough room to burst through and grab those 7 crucial yards. Do you get what that means? That's not luck. That's preparation. That's a right tackle so well coached, so locked in, that he can adjust on the fly. That's what happens when you've got a coach who actually teaches fundamentals. And Swift, that supposedly non-explosive back, finished with 90 yards in that game. 90 yards of pure heart, pure grit, pure I'll do whatever it takes to win. But here's what really fired me up. Johnson's decision to run the ball on 3rd and 8 wasn't just tactical. It was philosophical, because what Johnson was saying with that call was, I trust my O-line. I trust my back. I'm gonna win this game the way Chicago has always won games, with physical football, downhill. Hat on a hat, remember the monsters of the Midway. Remember when Chicago used to impose its will at the line of scrimmage? That's what Johnson is bringing back. Not with words, with action. And let me ask you, when was the last time you saw a Bears coach have the guts to make a call like that? When was the last time this organization leaned into its identity at the most critical moment? I don't think I ever have. Not in my lifetime as a fan. And I've been watching the Bears as long as I can remember, because look, it's easy to talk about bear down and navy and orange when you're up 30-10. It's easy to be bold when everything's going right. But to do what Johnson did, to trust your back on 3rd and 8 with the game on the line, that takes a different kind of courage. That takes conviction. And Swift delivered. Because that's what real pros do. When the moment's big, they get bigger. Now, I know some of you will still say, but Swift isn't as explosive as other backs, and you're right. Swift's not gonna break off 80-yard runs. That's not his game. But you know what? We don't need him to be. Because what Swift gives us is consistency. He gives us yards when we need them. He gives us pass protection. He gives us leadership in the huddle, and in that game against Minnesota, he gave us the win. But here's the part nitrogen monoxide one is talking about. Swift didn't do it alone. Kyle Monange, that rookie we brought in, played a big role too. Between the two of them, they kept Minnesota's defense honest all game. They forced them to respect the run, and that opened everything up for Caleb Williams through the air. This is complementary football. This is what happens when all the pieces click. And this is what's got me so optimistic about this team's future, because look at the offensive line. After years of being a disaster, after years of watching our quarterbacks run for their lives, we finally have a line that can open holes, that can protect, that can dominate. Thuney, Dalman, Jackson, Wright. These guys are playing as one. And yeah, Dalman made a mistake on that play, but Wright had his back, because that's what good teams do. They cover for each other. And when you combine that line with backs like Swift and Monange, with an offensive coordinator like Johnson who actually knows how to use the run to set up the pass, you've got a recipe for success in January. Because let me ask you, what kind of teams win in the playoffs? The ones that can only throw the ball? Or the ones that can impose their will when the weather's brutal and the field's frozen? I'll tell you this, the teams that win in January are the ones that can run the ball, when everyone knows they're gonna run the ball. And that's exactly what the Bears did against Minnesota. This is the identity we've been searching for. This is the formula that works in Chicago. Physical football, solid defense, reliable run game. And when you need a play through the air, you've got Caleb Williams to make it. And you know what's wild? We're just starting to see what this team can really do. Because Swift is getting better every week. The O-line is improving every week. And Johnson is just beginning to install his full system. Imagine this team in December, when everything's fully clicking. Imagine this team in January, playing at Soldier Field with that Lake Michigan wind howling. Who's gonna want to come to Chicago and face this run game? Nobody. Absolutely nobody. And when I think about that Swift run, those 7 yards that saved the game, I realize something. This team has something we haven't had in years. It has resilience. It has the ability to make plays when it matters most. Because that can't be taught. That comes from within. That comes from having players who truly believe in what they're doing, who truly trust each other, who are truly willing to leave it all on the field. And Swift showed that against Minnesota. Not with words, with action. So next time someone talks down on Dander Swift, next time someone says he's not explosive enough, I'm gonna remind them of that 3rd and 8. I'm gonna remind them of those 7 yards. I'm gonna remind them that without him, we probably lose that game, because at the end of the day, football isn't about flashy stats. It's about making the plays that matter when they matter. And Swift did exactly that. But here's where it gets really crazy. And just when you thought we were done, let me tell you something that's gonna completely change how you see this team. Something that goes way beyond football. Something that shows exactly what kind of people we've got in that locker room. Nahshon Wright, cornerback, number 38. A guy most of you probably didn't even know before Sunday. But after what he did against Minnesota and what he shared after the game, this man earned the respect of the entire city of Chicago. And let me ask you, when was the last time you saw a Bears player show that kind of vulnerability? That kind of humanity? That kind of heart? Let me tell you this story, because it hit me deep. Nahshon Wright tried to talk to reporters after the game, tried to keep it together. But the emotion got to him before the words did. Because Wright had just lost someone who meant everything to him. Someone who literally saved his life when his world was falling apart. John Beam, his coach at Laney College. The man who changed his life. And Wright, voice cracking, eyes full of tears, said something that broke me. He meant the world to me. Reporters leaned in. The room went quiet. Because this was raw. This was real. This was a man opening his heart in front of all of us. And then Wright shared the moment that changed everything. When my dad was murdered, he came to my house and pulled me out of bed. Pause. Silence. No one knew what to say. Because how do you respond to that? How do you process that kind of pain? In 2017, Nahshon Wright lost his father, murdered, and in that moment, when his world collapsed, when everything felt lost, John Beam didn't hesitate. He didn't wait. He went to his house, pulled him out of bed, and showed him that someone still cared. Beam didn't have to do that. It wasn't his job. But he did it anyway. Because that's what real mentors do. That's what real men do. They show up when it matters most. And Wright said something that crushed me. He became someone I could trust, someone I loved deeply. Beam became the father figure Wright had lost. Not with words, with action, by being there, week after week, year after year, through college, through the draft, through every step of his NFL journey. Wright revealed they talked every week. Every week, that rhythm kept him grounded when words often failed. Their conversations carried him through every phase of the game, college, the league, success, struggle. And through it all, Beam stayed. Beam supported his family when they needed it most. Do you understand what that means? In a world where everyone talks about brotherhood and family, Beam actually lived it. He wasn't just a coach. He was a father, and that's why the news of John Beam's death hit Wright so hard. A gunman murdered the Laney College coach, sending shockwaves through the community and breaking Wright's heart. Murdered. Just like his biological father. Life took to father figures from Wright in the most violent way possible, but even then, even with that kind of heartbreak, Wright tried to stay strong. He said Beam supported him every step of the way. Heaven gained an angel, that's for sure. His hands clenched as he spoke, like he was holding on to every memory, every lesson. And I ask you, how do you keep going after something like that? How do you find the strength to keep playing? How do you focus on football when you just lost the person who saved you? I think the answer is in what Wright did Sunday against Minnesota. Because while we were all celebrating the win, while we were talking about Santos' field goal and Swift's run, Noshin Wright was playing with a broken heart. He was playing with the weight of that loss on his shoulders. He was playing knowing that his mentor, his father figure, wasn't there to see his success. And you know what he did? He made a crucial interception right before halftime. He climbed the ladder over Jordan Addison and stopped a touchdown. That would have completely flipped the momentum of the game under the stadium lights. With the pain still fresh, Wright showed exactly what kind of man John Beam helped him become. Because Beam didn't just teach him football. He taught him resilience. He taught him how to get up when life knocks you down. He taught him that even in the darkest moments, you still have to find a way to move forward. And Wright honored that lesson in the best way possible by playing his heart out on that field. Now, Noshin Wright steps onto the field knowing he carries Beam's voice, strength, and belief with him. And I ask you, how far can someone go with that kind of legacy pushing them forward? I'll tell you this, there's no limit. Because when you play for something bigger than yourself, when you play for the legacy of someone who saved your life, you find a strength you didn't even know you had. This story hit me in a way few things in sports ever have. Because it reminds us that these players aren't just athletes. They're people with pain, with loss, with struggles we'll never fully understand. And when Wright stood in front of those microphones and shared his pain with the world, when he let us all see his vulnerability, he did something incredibly brave. Because in this world of sports, where men are expected to be tough and unbreakable, Wright showed that real strength comes from being able to open up, to cry, to say this hurts. That's real courage. And as a Bears fan, as someone who's followed this team my whole life, I can tell you this is what makes a team special. It's not just the wins. It's not just the stats. It's the people. It's stories like this that remind you why you love this sport, because football, at its core, is about overcoming adversity. It's about getting back up when you've been knocked down. It's about finding the strength to keep going even when everything feels lost. And Noshin Wright embodies that perfectly. John Beam gave him a second chance when he needed it most. Showed him there was still good in the world. Taught him that even after the worst kind of tragedy, you can still build something beautiful. And now Wright is living that legacy every Sunday. Every time he steps on that field, every time he makes a play, he's honoring the memory of the man who saved him. That's bigger than football. That's life. And when I think about this Bears team, when I think about everything they've accomplished this season, stories like this remind me that we're building something special here. Not just a winning team, but a family, a group of people who truly care about each other, who are willing to open up, who understand that real strength comes from vulnerability. Ben Johnson is building a culture, and part of that culture is creating a space where players can be human, where they can share their pain, where they can lift each other up through tragedy. And Noshin Wright, with his courage in sharing this story, just showed the entire organization what it means to be a true Bear. Rest in peace. John Beam, thank you for saving Noshin Wright. Thank you for showing him there was still hope. Thank you for being the kind of man this world desperately needs more of. And Noshin, brother, the entire city of Chicago is with you. We're gonna honor Coach Beam's memory the best way we know how, by winning games and building something special, because that's what he would have wanted. Now let me ask you something. After hearing these three stories, after seeing how this team is trolling their rivals with swagger, after understanding how DeAndre Swift saved the game with those 7 crucial yards, and after learning the heartbreaking but inspiring story of Noshin Wright, do you still have doubts about these Bears? Let me ask you this, is this the team that's finally gonna bring pride back to Chicago? Is Ben Johnson the coach who's gonna lead us back to glory? And are you ready to believe that this might be our year? Because I'm telling you right now, we've waited years for this moment. Years of watching the Packers dominate us. Years of suffering through quarterbacks who weren't the answer. Years of wondering if we'd ever be relevant again. But now, we finally have something real. We've got a coach who believes in Chicago's identity. We've got players who are willing to leave it all on the field. We've got a culture that values strength just as much as vulnerability. And I need you to be part of this. I need this family to grow. Because what we're building here isn't just a YouTube channel. It's a community, a place where real Bears fans can come to celebrate, to vent, to break things down, and to believe together. So if you believe these Bears are different, if you believe Ben Johnson is the real deal, if you believe our time has finally come, then subscribe to this channel right now. Because I promise you, tomorrow we've got more explosive stories, more deep analysis, more of everything that makes being a Bears fan so damn special. And drop your comments. I want to know, what did you think of the trolling against the Vikings? Do the Bears owe Dander Swift an apology? And how did Nosh and Wright's story make you feel? Because this is your community just as much as it's mine. And I want to hear your voices. I want to know what you think. I want us to be a real family. Hit that like button if you believe these Bears are gonna win the division. Subscribe if you think Ben Johnson deserves Coach of the Year. And share this video with every Bears fan you know. Because we need everyone on board for this ride. This is Navy and Orange, baby. This is Chicago. This is DA Bears. And remember, bear down, always. In the good times and the bad. In wins and in losses. Because that's what it means to be part of this family. I'll see you tomorrow with more explosive stories. Until then, stay strong, keep believing, and never forget, Chicago don't play, bear down.